I decided to teach music because I love sharing this gift that I have with others and showing them how to experience the joy in music. All right, so my full government name is Howard Melbourne Alexander III. You have to like unfold my social security card. It's like folds, there's so many letters. I am a teaching artist. I teach and I art. Being a musician and teaching at the Afro-American Music Institute. I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was born on Wiltsey Street over in Leamington, and my parents moved to Black Ridge when I was 6 months old. That local, like I'm from Earth. Just in case anybody out there's watching that like not from this part of the universe, like I'm from a little blue planet. I always had a small organ in the house or like some instrument. My parents brought me a drum set when I was 4 years old, and I played it every single day until I broke one of the heads. And I remember coming home from kindergarten, coming home from school from kindergarten, and the drums were in the garbage. But I think my parents threw it away because I played it every single day. But I don't know, that's still a mystery. I still have to ask my mother. But my father had a lot of records, and I would listen to jazz, R&B, everything, every day, and had some of the best music in the world. I didn't know I was listening to the best music in the world. I have an older sister. She's 2.5 years older than me, and I remind her of that half a year every chance I get. My mother was a school teacher, and my father was a banker, and I was a latchkey kid, had the key around the neck and would, come home after school and I'd be home for a couple hours, I had to find stuff to get into and do, And fortunately one of those was music, My biggest musical influences have to be, starting with Quincy Jones. To me, Quincy Jones is the GOAT of all music. As great as Michael Jackson is, as great as Bruce Springsteen is, as great as like Lionel Richie and Paul Simon and whoever you could name, all of those people appear on Quincy Jones albums as a part of Quincy's band. Quincy hires Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson hires everybody else, but Quincy hires Mike. So Quincy's the GOAT. To teach music because I love sharing this gift that I have with others and showing them how to experience the joy in music. Being able to share that. I mean, if I was a musician and I was touring, yeah, maybe they get it that way too. And that's great too, one concert at a time. But like, it's very personal when you teach. When you're a teacher, or especially an art teacher, and you have a student, it's almost like a surrogate child, and you like raise that child in the music, and you hope that they learn and follow in the same way. Right? Good. So if you play a C chord, C, E, G, right? Just play that. Right. So a teaching artist is just that. You're part teacher, part artist. Can and I do. A lot of teachers at the Afro-American Music Institute, a lot of us actually gig. We don't just teach music, we go out and perform, and we do this for a living. Living as a musician varies across different levels of, I guess, success, if you wanted to call it success. I spend half my time teaching here at the school and half my time playing. Some people play all the time, like their experience may be a little different. My experience is such that Being a teacher and an artist, it's different every day. I'm teaching a different lesson to my students every day. I'm experiencing different music. They're showing me music that they like that I've never heard before. I'm always learning something new. And then when I go out and play, I'm not playing in the same band and playing the same music. It's always a different band. It's always different music. And I have to learn this person's book. If somebody hires me, I have to learn like that person's book. Like, I'll tell you this. I don't get to listen to music for fun that much anymore. It's always like, and even when I'm listening to music, it's always like, I can't never like just sit back and go, I'm always like F minor, G minor, A major, you know what I mean? I'm always breaking it down. And that's what it's like for me. But it's a great life. You know, music doesn't make me happy. It gives me joy. There's like a trinity happening in your body. There's your mind, your body, and your spirit. And in order to build yourself, you should build those 3 pillars. And I had 3 guys in my life that helped me build those pillars. Jimmy Ponders, he helped build my body because he played with so much strength. You know, so watching him, I learned how to be strong. Nelson Harrison is brilliant, and he inspired me to be wise, smart. Dr. J is the most soulful person you will ever meet in your life. And he got my soul together. So I was able to have my body, my mind, and my spirit from 3 of the baddest dudes walking. You know, I'm very, very, very blessed with that man. Nelson Harrison, he used to play with Count Basie Orchestra. He had this thing, it wasn't like class lessons, but it was like where he had a bunch of kids who played music and liked jazz. He would teach us about jazz.
The name is Nelson E. Harrison. Anyway, Howie is the son of one of my best high school friends. His dad and I were best friends in high school. So in 1988, Manchester Craftsman Field, Bill Strickland called me and he said, we want to start a youth jazz band and in joint project with the Board of Education. Would you be interested in teaching them? I said, sure. Only to find out there were no kids. So I went around to the 12 high schools and I recruited about 40 kids. Howie was one of them, he was 15. And I auditioned them all, and they all failed my audition. So I said to them, how would you like to learn to play the music you listen to every day? And they all said yes.
He would teach us about jazz, like the music, the culture, like everything, over at the Manchester Craftsman Guild when we were all teenagers. And we started to play, and he would show us like, you know, things here. He played trombone, but there were drums and bass and everything. We had to kind of figure out on our own using our ears. He taught us how to really use our ears. And it was great. It was called the Bebops. It was over at Manchester Craftsman Guild back in 1980.
Howie's dad, Herky, was driving him to rehearsal with me on a Sunday with Justin Brown, who picked him up in Squirrel Hill. I would be driving them to my rehearsal, and he came through the Squirrel Hill tunnels and had a heart attack and died. Howie, at that point, Herky had just bought him, this was in February, I think, had just bought him a brand new piano for Christmas, because Howie was so dedicated to the piano.
In 1989, February of '89, my father passed away while taking me to the thing with Nelson Harrison. It's funny how it all happened. Well, it's not funny, but like peculiar how it all happened. When he passed away, it was like you're instantly become man of the house. You know, it was my mother and my sister and me. I'm man of the house, you know, no matter what. And so whatever that meant, and at 14, you know, I had to be the strength, you know, in the backbone, and like you grow up really, really fast when you decide to take that on. It doesn't happen to everybody, you know what I mean? You have to decide to do that.
And so when his father died, Howie dedicated his life to the piano. He says, the piano is my life, and I will make that piano be everything I need it to be.
4 months after my father passed, when I met Dr. J, and you know, so Dr. J was like, I had like surrogate dad, like, you know, and he's very fatherly, you know. So You know, Dr. J even calls me his son. He's like, "It's my son," you know.
Dr. James Taree Johnson Jr. Nelson Harrison was teaching a youth program over at Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, and Howie was on the piano that day.
And Dr. J brought James.
He met my son James, and ever since then we've locked up like as a family, and it's been a family ever since.
James T. Johnson III. How did I meet Howie? My father gave a clinic at the Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, and I might have been like 12, 11, something like that. And Howie was in this ensemble directed by Nelson Harrison. He was in an ensemble, jazz ensemble.
His son James is a little different. This is what hooked me. This is what made me a musician probably. While we were playing a song, James was on the other side of the room. The first time we ever played together, the first time we ever met. The first time James and I ever met, we played together. So I played something, and he looked at me, and he played something back. And then I played something again, and he played it back, and all of a sudden we're having this like musical conversation, first time ever. I am a graduate of Duquesne University. Now, I think prior to that, I went to Taylor Alderdice.
He applied to Duquesne University jazz program, and they rejected him. And he came to me in tears. He says, they wouldn't let me in the jazz program. I said, what? He says, they told me I didn't use classical fingering, so they couldn't let me in, they wouldn't let me in the jazz program. I said, Howie, you know more music than everybody at Duquesne.
Well, depends what you want to do. You know, college, my mother's going to kill me for saying this, but college isn't for everybody. You know, I used to think like, college is for everybody. Like, even if you don't go and like study, go party. Like, please do that. Socialize yourself. You know, like get to know some people who aren't like you. You know what I mean? If you get anything from college, learn how to live with people you don't like. Later, and when I graduated high school, there was a summer camp at the Afro-American Music Institute, and Dr. J hired me to be summer camp counselor for summer camp. And I'm still here at AMI. 29 years later, I'm still here because this place is awesome! I've been really blessed with some amazing musical opportunities. Probably the earliest and biggest one that I had was when they had me as a featured soloist with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. So when I was about 23 or so, Marvin Hamlish and the Pittsburgh Pops were doing this like series on like piano players, like Talented Five. And they chose me as one of the piano players. I got an Emmy. In collaboration with Ime Aliquiva, we did the soundtrack to the Tuskegee Airmen of Western Pennsylvania documentary. But we ended up receiving an Emmy for Best Music in a documentary. So I've got an Emmy at my house. Success, to me, was the first double consonant word I learned in school. Ha! You didn't expect that answer. I remember watching a show called The Electric Company, and Morgan Freeman was playing a professor, and he was teaching us how to use double consonants, and success was the first word that. It's funny you ask that. I don't know. It's funny you ask that question. That sticks out of my mind anytime someone says that word. That scene where I learned it and learned what it meant and what it was. It was the first double consonant word that I learned as a kid, and it's like it grounded me. I guess it having that kind of impact and that kind of like. I don't know. It made me want to be successful, and successful means you finish what you started. Doesn't have to mean you have to make a lot of money. You don't have to be famous, but you have to be successful. You have to finish what you start. You have to complete what you decided to do, or what you promised to do. Definitely anything you promised to do. If you didn't promise to do it, then whatever. But you complete what you didn't promise to do. That's even better. you know? So success to me is completing what you want to do. It doesn't necessarily mean rich and famous. You know, we wanted to have an interview, and we did. The interview was a success.
Thank you.